It's another preseason special here on Lit Sports Online. Gonna get into it again with some different topics this time. Think you're gonna enjoy the show we have. Lit Sports Online, your top stop for sports coverage, particularly the NFL.
And before we get into things, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that little bell icon down to get notified when we have new videos all season long. Let's go.
What's our first topic tonight?
So right out the gates, we're just going to talk about some players to watch, especially some rookies. And I'm going to start out by saying I think Hayden Hurst is going to be an absolutely fucking beast this year. I've been seeing him. I think, honestly, this is the tight end the Ravens have needed since Dennis Pitt has declined. I'm excited for this kid, man. I think he's going to be a great target for Joe Flacco.
But rookie tight ends typically don't really produce that much.
On teams where they have tight ends, but the Ravens do not have a tight end of a caliber of someone like they used to have, where this is an offense that relies on tight ends.
So are you predicting an Evan Ingram-like season for Hayden Hurst?
I think Hayden Hurst is going to have a great first year. I mean, like I said, I think we're just going to have to wait and see, but from what I've seen in college, from what I've seen these past few weeks in preseason, and of course on Instagram and on the Ravens feeds, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I really do. And I think Mark Andrews right behind him, another valid weapon. That's just me personally. There are a lot of other rookies on the Ravens. I don't think, again, we can talk about the one that everybody's been talking about. And for all the haters out there, I don't think Lamar Jackson sucks at all. I think, honestly, if you look at what he's played with, he's been playing with a third-string line that could barely probably protect a baby. These guys are horrible with this third-string line that they throw him in. You want to get him injured? That's how you do. Keep throwing him with that line. I want to see him with the first team. I want to see some sizable time period with the first team, honestly.
I agree. I think Lamar Jackson has a lot of potential, but he's got to be careful not to get hurt. Like,
my God.
You think back to RG3 with his amazing rookie season, and then after knee injury derailed his career. You think about Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz coming off knee injuries. How are they going to be after that? You don't want to derail your career early with all these nagging injuries, especially like that.
In the preseason. I mean, I've been watching the preseason lately, and I mean, there have been dudes getting carted off, like the Vikings preseason game that just happened over the weekend. Dudes were getting carted off the field left and right. I mean, honestly, preseason, yes, you want to show up. You want to play your hardest. But for someone like Lamar Jackson, who has a guaranteed probably future in this NFL, do not go head up with linebackers and cornerbacks. It's not worth losing your career for. Slide. Learn how to slide. Learn how to go out of bounds. You can still be quick. You can still be fast, but just be smart and fast.
Well, for me, the rookies are going to make a big impact. I'm going to give you one offense and one defense. On offense, I'm going to give you actually more of a sleeper here, a guy that wasn't drafted really high. Okay. That's Nyheim Hines for the Colts. You think about that backfield. You got Marlon Mack, and I like Marlon Mack, but he did start the year with a shoulder surgery. You wonder if he's going to be 100%. There is room for more than one back to contribute in that offense. And Nyheim Hines, honestly, he could be this year's Alvin Kamara. It would not shock me at all. He's got that receiving skill set. He can run the ball. He's fast. So we'll see what happens there with the Colts. If Andrew Luck's playing and healthy the whole year, I think there's room for that backfield to do something.
Yeah, it's going to be a very scary backfield with a healthy Andrew Luck. And, I mean, the rookie could definitely use a smart quarterback like Andrew Luck.
Absolutely. And then on defense, I'm going to go with a more obvious one. The guy that probably should have been the first defensive player off the board, Bradley Chubb on the Broncos. There's an immediate starting role for him. And I definitely think he's going to get the pressure from the outside, make that Broncos defense even stronger than it's already been.
Yeah, another good, solid weapon. I'm actually excited to see what he can really do.
I think the Broncos could surprise this year with the addition of Case Keenum and with those kind of draft picks.
I mean, Case Keenum is a legit quarterback. I think, honestly, he's definitely one of those under-the-radar quarterbacks. He had a good season with the Vikings last year. No, I'm excited. I think the Broncos are definitely going to be a threat in the West, honestly. I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. Now, talking about some vets, I'm just going to come off the cuff and just say, look, offense-wise, Jimmy Garoppolo. I think, honestly, what he did finishing up last year's season, he's still riding a win streak. Honestly, the Patriots are probably sitting in their front office saying, what the fuck did we just get rid of? They literally could have had the second coming of Tom Brady, but now the 49ers have him. And I think, honestly, he's going to have a good season. I'm not going to say he's probably going to have Aaron Rodgers numbers. Who knows? But I think he's going to be riding that wave of momentum that he had from last season. And 49ers, he might make it back to the playoff with Jimmy G.
Maybe. Maybe a wild card.
Yeah. God, you suck. Oh, now I get it.
Yeah, I'm not giving them the division.
Hey, the Rams, I'm not gonna lie, the Rams are good though. I mean, let's be honest here. The Rams are a fully loaded team. They definitely are. I think Jimmy G's best hopes might actually probably be wild card thinking about it now. Yeah, and on defense, I think Jalen Ramsey honestly is gonna have a great season. It's not surprising, really. I mean, he's definitely one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL. Let's be honest here. And, of course, if you heard about the article, I think it was in GQ where he virtually rated every single quarterback in the NFL. That was hilarious. Of course, he gave Joe Flacco a suck, which sucks because, well, Joe Flacco was the Ravens quarterback. But, yeah, I think Jalen Ramsey is going to be probably going to have a really, really good season. Another one is Terrell Suggs, man. Of course, I'm going back to the Ravens. That's what I do. Terrell freaking Suggs, man. That guy's playing like a man possessed. And what is he, like almost 40? Playing better than most rookies, man.
Guess you have a point there.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly these are probably if I had to be a gambling man, probably the last 2 seasons for T Sizzle, honestly, before he goes on to greener pastures. But man, I think he's gonna have a solid season and be a great anchor for the Ravens defense this year.
Yeah, and I definitely have to agree with you on Ramsey. I mean, when you think back, you know, that shutdown corners are really scarce in the NFL. This is a guy that, honestly, Chris's team, the Cowboys, could have drafted instead of Ezekiel Elliott if they wanted to, but they chose not to. They went with the running back in the early first. And Elliott's great, but it's positional value you got to think about. So I wonder if that's going to come back to haunt him at some point. But anywho, let's talk about my picks here for veterans. On defense, I'm actually going to go with Luke Kuechly. I think he's really the next Urlacher, Ray Lewis. He's that middle linebacker in the league that is unquestionably the best in my opinion. So I think for him on the Panthers, he's really going to shore up that defense for them, as he tends to do every year. And then for offense, I'm going to go with, since Chris isn't here, I'll do it, Drew Brees. I mean, I think he's got another big year in him, as old as he is. You think about the fact that Kamara has now shown up for them. They still got Ingram, who will eventually come off that suspension. They'll still have that dual backfield, you figure. And then they also added Cameron Meredith to the team at receiver. So I think that gives them a strong option besides Michael Thomas to throw to. They bring back Benjamin Watson. I mean, he is a red zone hog for them. I mean, last time he played with them, he got a lot of touchdowns, but he is old as shit. But overall, I think that you look at the Saints offense, it's still going to be a well-tuned machine, and Brees is going to put up numbers.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Saints are one of those teams that I always root for. I just love the Saints program. I think Drew Brees could have a great season. I think, honestly, he's another one that's probably in the last 2 years of his career, honestly. So it's going to be I'm really curious to see what Drew Brees does in these final years. So we'll see. Now, in terms of, like, Super Bowl picks, because like I said, this is preseason. We're guessing at this point, man. We're throwing a dart in the dark at this point, man. We have no idea what's going to happen. If you had to pick this year's Super Bowl, I'll give you 2. If you had to pick this year's Super Bowl, who would it be?
Okay, so I'll give you...
Yeah, give 2.
I'll give you 1 and then an alternative. So... best case scenario for me, of course, would be the Rams making the Super Bowl, which I don't think is out of the question.
I don't.
With everything they've added in the offseason with Peters, Talib, Sue, that defense is now going to be elite. We know the offense showed up last year. I expect it to still be good. So, yeah, I think the Rams actually have a strong chance. I think it's Super Bowl or bust for them, which I'm finally excited to see my team as a legit Super Bowl contender. It's just a question of getting there and winning.
Yeah.
But I'll say Rams, and then on the AFC side, I will say, well, you're not going to like this, but Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, because here's the thing, man, and this is, of course, contingent on Ben Roethlisberger staying healthy. But
this guy calls himself my best man. I'm like, what the hell?
But, I mean, if we assume a scenario where Ben Roethlisberger stays healthy, I could definitely see the Steelers making the Super Bowl. I think the Patriots could be a worse team this year than last year. And I think that the Steelers, you look at them, Juju Smith emerging as another big-time threat in his second year now. They still have Brown, obviously, and Bell. You think about James Washington that they drafted, I think is going to turn out to be pretty good, and he could be a slot option for them. So the offense looks loaded. The defense, not as loaded, but I think they got enough there to make a Super Bowl push. I honestly think the AFC is a little weaker conference than the NFC, but I might be biased in that opinion too. My alternative pick is going to be on the NFC side, the Minnesota Vikings. I really like that they signed Kirk Cousins. The defense is still obviously one of the top defenses in the NFL. At least we expect that. Thielen and Diggs. Dalvin Cook is back. Kyle Rudolph. Great overall team. They got quality on both sides of the football, so I really think they're a strong pick. And on AFC, I'll actually say Denver Broncos.
Wow.
I think they actually have a shot with the defense getting some improvement and bringing in Keenum. Because you got to think the Broncos have always been at least like a mediocre team with shit quarterback play. You now have competent quarterback play. So what does that do? I think it at least makes them make the playoffs and maybe the Super Bowl.
All right, I'll give that to you. Now, of course, my Super Bowl picks, I would love to see the Ravens in it. I would love to see them go back. And the reason why I say this is a lot of eye raises probably on YouTube, people looking at us right now. Reason why, Joe Flacco finally has something to worry about behind him. For years, Joe Flacco hasn't had anybody. Who? Ryan Mallett was going to take his spot? No. You have Lamar Jackson, who you know they're itching to throw in there. You have RG3, who honestly hasn't been bad this preseason. Given the fact also you've completely revamped the wide receiver core, and the defense is as strong as ever, there's no reason the Ravens shouldn't make it back to the playoffs, finally. There is not a reason. And I dare say, if January Joe shows up, January Joe could take it to the Super Bowl in February, man. Now, who they're playing? I'm going to say the Eagles. I think the Eagles, if the Eagles could go back, I honestly think the Eagles could make it back to the Super Bowl. You know, once they get Carson Wentz back, could you imagine a healthy Carson Wentz with the Eagles squad of last year? Oh my God, it would have been a blowout against the Patriots if they had had him. So there's no reason, again, why. If Carson Wentz comes back healthy, that's a wrap.
Yeah, I definitely think the Eagles deserve some strong consideration, too.
I mean, they are the Super Bowl champs. I mean, it's not a fluke. Nick Foles, I mean, even if Carson Wentz isn't healthy, they still have Nick Foles, who has all the confidence in the world right now.
Yeah, I guess the reason I didn't pick the Eagles is because I'm not big on picking repeats. And at the same time, I look at teams that are trending in the right direction. Like the Eagles have already kind of got to where they need to be. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at teams that like made good acquisitions in the offseason and maybe can make that next push.
Now, if I have to be real with you, because we have to do 2 picks, one fantasy, we hope, and one real, I'll be surprised a lot of people and say, I don't think the Patriots even come close to the Super Bowl this year. I don't think it's there. I honestly could I definitely think they're going to the playoffs. I mean, it is the Patriots. And the AFC.
That division's so
trash. Jesus Christ. They got 6 wins right there. Boom. But I honestly think they probably go out in the first round. And if I had to say, if I couldn't pick the Ravens, I'd honestly say the Jags, man. Going back to that defense. Defense wins championship. I'm not even going to talk about the offense. That defense was on fire. And when the defense is on fire and holding teams down, that offense is able to produce and actually get some points on the board. You keep the game close enough. Look at the 2000 Ravens. Look at them. Defense kept them in that season, and what did they do? Won the Super Bowl. Now, who they're playing against? I'm going to go with Jimmy G and the San Francisco 49ers. I think they're going to surprise some people this year, man. You're high. I understand. You're a Rams fan. You don't like the idea of your team losing probably in the AFC.
Well, what I don't get is like, what is the thesis behind that other than Jimmy G is like the next coming of Christ? Like, what else in that team is making them get to the Super Bowl?
That's all I got.
You're just assuming you're assuming he's gonna like be that kind of quarterback that doesn't need any other help. I mean,
look, Justin, you're salty. I get it. You're salty. You just picked the Steelers. I mean, come on. But you're salty. It's okay. I mean, you guys.
I want to hear it. What is it?
I really don't honestly have a reason other than Jimmy Garoppolo's a fucking beast. Not to mention, I mean, even with the squad he had last year, I mean, they went undefeated under him. I mean, let's be honest here. The kid's a baller. The kid's a good player. Like I said, I think Honestly, if I honestly had to pick out the NFC, it'd be the Rams, the 49ers, the Vikings, or the Eagles in terms of going to the Super Bowl for the NFC. Honestly, there's no other teams that I think honestly are going to hold it. I don't think the Falcons are going to do anything. I just don't have confidence in them. I think Matt Ryan's completely overrated. That's just me. So, I mean, who else? The Saints could. The Saints could. They're definitely a valid threat. But something just tells me they're not going to be able to complete the job this season.
Well, I will give Jimmy G this. He had a big game last year against the Jaguars. Now, when you can have a big game against that kind of defense, obviously you're a threat.
Yeah.
But we also have to look at the fact that the games they won, that's a small sample size. You're only looking at a couple games. What's going to happen this new season, we don't really know. But obviously you think they got Super Bowl potential.
Yeah. I think, this is just my shot in the dark here, people. Honestly, my best bet at the Super Bowl is probably going to be the Eagles, honestly. In the NFC, I honestly will have to say it's probably going to be the Eagles. I think San Francisco isn't too far behind them, though, honestly, with some youth. So,
okay.
We'll just have to see what happens.
So we also want to real quick talk about teams that are definitely not going to have success. For me, it's obviously all the teams in the Patriots division that aren't the Patriots. You think about the Jets, the Bills.
Oh, my God.
The Dolphins. That's bad.
Do the Jets even know who their quarterback is? I
think the Jets are the best out of those three teams, and that's the sad part.
Then you got Buffalo. It's like, what? They still got Peterman. That's your boy. It's just like, what? And what are the Dolphins? I haven't heard shit about them all preseason. I haven't heard anything about the Dolphins. Are they even still a team? What's going on here?
I don't know.
It's a mess.
But you can write that. You can pencil in the Patriots for already winning that division.
Yeah,
yet again.
I'll tell you one team that does surprise me. I'm just going to sidetrack away from teams that are not going to. I think the Browns scare me. The Browns have a lot of weapons. But again, like we've had conversations, it is still the Browns culture. But again, them winning 6 games is not out of the question, people. They could scare the Ravens or the Steelers, honestly, late in the year. I'm a little worried. I don't know. You got Tyrod Taylor. He's a decent quarterback. I think the Bills made a horrible mistake getting rid of him. Unless they know something we don't, I don't see the Bills probably recovering from that. And even then, you have Baker Mayfield behind him. Who knows what they might try to pull some Wildcat stuff that the Ravens are probably thinking about doing with him.
Well, Mayfield looked like a baller in the preseason. Yeah. He's a winner. He's coming in there with a whole different attitude. Tyrod has made playoffs in the past and expects to continue with that. So I think you are going to get a bit of a different mentality here from this team.
It's a culture change.
But I also want to be careful not to overestimate what they're going to do, because in past years, we seem to always think, is this the turning point for the Browns? And they still go winless or win one game. So let's reserve that kind of judgment, but I do expect that they are going to be a lot better.
Yeah. I think also in terms of teams that aren't going to have a lot of success, and I mentioned them earlier, or even not success in general, but just not as good as they were. I think the Patriots fall from grace starts this year. I don't think the Patriots are going to be such a threat in the next few years, honestly. I think they really, they don't have the weapons that they used to have. Gronk, yeah, he's great. Edelman, okay.
Is it the age of Brady?
I think 100% it is. We're going to have to see how this 40-year-old Brady plays. And I want to play until I'm 45 or whatever he said. I want to see what he can do. If he can repeat what he did last year, years past, if he can play at that level, okay. He's the real deal. But he's older. He's a lot older. And this isn't the same Patriots squad he's had in years past. So like I said, I don't think the Patriots are going to do as well as they are usually expected to do.
I also think Bill Belichick in his older age has gotten a little bit arrogant, and that's too big of an ego. I still look back at the benching of Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl. It was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
I look at how they drafted, actually, the fact that It's curious to me that a team that has this history of using a committee backfield burns a first-round pick on a running back. I mean, unless you're trying to make Michelle the focal point of the offense, why are you drafting him that high?
Yeah.
You're probably going to use your committee again, so, like, what's the point?
At what point do they pick a quarterback in the early rounds of the draft? At what point do they do that? Do they ever pick a quarterback? Because who do they have now?
I think what they did, you see, the thing is with the Patriots is they tried to pick their heir apparent too early. They got their guy, but Brady kept on wanting to play. He didn't want to retire. So next thing you know, Garoppolo's starting on another team, and they don't have the backup option anymore.
No, because now all they have is Hoyer, and he's not shit.
He's old too.
Yeah. It's like a retirement village over there for quarterbacks. Jeez.
But no, I think this offseason they're probably going to pull a quarterback if they can. I mean, they're going to try to get someone good, but
who's out there?
I don't know what their draft pick's going to be, so we'll see.
We'll see. But I think in terms of other teams like that aren't going to probably do good. I think the Bears are one. Bears don't really impress me any much.
I mean, I think they're going to be better than last year.
Yeah, they're still ain't going to do shit. You got Aaron Rodgers to deal with twice a year. You're not coming out of that division.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what's tough. It's a tough division for them. That's the thing. I think the Vikings have the best shot at winning that division by a mile, actually.
The Vikings and the Bears, that's 4 games you're probably not going to win. So you're already at, 12-4 if you win all your other games? And that's highly unlikely. Yeah, no.
But was there like a team that actually did really good last year besides the Patriots? You see taking a step back?
I think the Chiefs aren't going to be as good. I mean, the Chiefs kind of started out great, fizzled out. I think Patrick Mahomes, honestly, he has potential, but I don't think, honestly, they're going to be as good. I mean, Kareem Hunt, hopefully he can hold up the team, but that's the only playmaker I can think of, honestly.
I actually don't think the Chiefs are a bad pick for regression either because they have a very tough schedule. If you think about it, they play the Broncos twice, the Chargers twice, both of which have good defenses. Yeah. They play the Jaguars. So right there, that's 5 teams with really good defenses. And then, on top of that, the Chiefs' defense year after year seems to keep getting worse.
Yeah.
So even though I like their offense, I think Mahomes is actually going to be good, I don't think it's enough to carry them to playoffs.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
That's for sure. But that does it for our episode of Lit Sports Online. This is preseason specials. We are so excited for the regular season. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got links all down below to all our social media. You know what to do. Go follow us on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You name it. Do it. Because this is year 3, bitches. We're here. Careful of time's sake, fellas.
Now, Biff,
guys,
don't con me.
This is the original 4.
Hey, bitch. You know what they say? I love 4 ways.
Oh, I didn't have to go that far, dog. 2 claps and a Ric Flair.
Woo!
Virginia Beach.